anxiety. It exists as a result of our responses to our environment in infancy, childhood, adolescence or adulthood. These responses are innate and inherently healthy. They're designed to help us survive real or perceived dangers. Problems arise when these dangers or threats to our survival are prolonged, chronic or overwhelming, trauma. In these cases, the response pattern becomes deeply embedded in our subconscious mind, and we may not even be aware of it. In such instances, taking medication that numbs our responses or consciously talking about our behaviour is not going to get to the crux of the problem. But clinical hypnosis can get to the core of embedded reactions that no longer serve us. Clinical hypnosis can help clients resolve deep-rooted fear or pain. And clinical hypnosis can enable clients to recreate response patterns and behaviours that are both helpful and proportionate. I know this, so do hundreds of thousands of other hypnotherapists across the globe. So do the millions of clients who had anxiety and who now live their best life following hypnotherapy treatment. The hundreds of thousands of qualified, accredited clinical hypnotherapists represent a huge, untapped resource that could fill the current gap in provision. And they could provide a treatment that reaches parts of anxious patients that other treatments just can't access. But we need evidence, clinical evidence, not anecdotal evidence. We need a framework and consistency so that medical professionals and their governing bodies understand the treatment and its potential. This single case experimental design study that I conducted as part of my master's programme in psychology at Coventry University in the UK is my first contribution to that evidence base. So, welcome to my small n study with big ambition, asking if clinical hypnosis can reduce symptoms of generalised anxiety disorder. I'm now going to walk you through the key elements of the research. Let's just very quickly clarify some definitions that are key to understanding the study. Hypnosis is a very natural, everyday state of mind that we dip in and out of in the course of a normal day. It may last anything from a few seconds upwards and entails reduced peripheral awareness, heightened state of internal focus, usually with a state of deep relaxation. Hypnotherapy or clinical hypnosis is therefore the use of an induced state of hypnosis for therapeutic purposes. In my introduction, I mentioned the triggers, events, experiences or memories that are stored in our subconscious or unconscious mind. Experiences that are deeply buried below the black line in this illustration have either been suppressed or happened before we became consciously aware. It's believed that only around 10% of our mind is conscious awareness, so talking therapies that predominantly operate above the red line in the diagram cannot reach the deep roots of unwanted behaviour. In this case, we're talking about the roots of anxious behaviour. In summary, because of its ability to harness the power of the subconscious, clinical hypnosis can offer many advantages over other treatments. It is fast. It is flexible as it's not manualised. Using hypnosis also means that we're able to work non-verbally. This is unbelievably powerful when a client or patient is unable to articulate experiences or felt somatic responses. In this study, I use a framework of hypnotherapy techniques that I have called integrative analytic hypnosis. Integrative because this therapy integrates a range of techniques. Analytic to emphasize the focus on understanding and dealing with root causes of mental health conditions. In other words, this is not just about suggestion hypnosis, which is the form of hypnotherapy typically cited in research. My aim was to create a flexible yet clearly defined list of techniques that would serve as an à la carte menu for practitioners to use. In future studies, they would be free to choose the range of techniques from within this list that would best serve each individual client or patient. This list comprises mental imagery, suggestion hypnosis, future progression, somatic focus, parts therapy, compassion-focused therapy, age regression, inner child work, and Gestalt exercises. So let's look at how this study was conducted. There were 3 participants aged 19 to 48 years, 2 women and 1 man. Each participant self-reported GAD symptoms before the study began, and these symptoms were confirmed in baseline GAD-7 questionnaires. The GAD-7 questionnaire and PHQ-9 questionnaire were both used due to the high rate of comorbidity between anxiety and depression. These questionnaires were repeated at 5 intervals throughout the study. There were 6 sessions in total, meaning a total of 6.5 hours of therapy over a period of 7 to 10 weeks. There was a clear framework to enable replicability. I used standardized measures for the same reason, and in order to conduct the required statistical analysis, I used tau-u effect size calculations. Here we have the opportunity for a visual analysis of the GAD-7 scores at baseline, T1, during hypnotherapy treatment, T2 and T3, and post-intervention, T4 and T5. As you can see, there is an overall reduction in anxiety symptoms for all participants. For participant LC, GAD scores reduced from severe generalized anxiety disorder at T1 to subthreshold at T5. For ML, the symptoms reduced from moderate to subthreshold GAD symptoms at the same time points. NC's reduction in symptoms was less stark, but still showed an overall change from mild GAD to a non-clinical condition. The reason for NC's T2 score being higher than the T1 score was explained by T1 coinciding with her return from an extended holiday where she was extremely relaxed, had had time away from her day-to-day challenges. So once she returned to everyday life, then her levels of anxiety returned, as it were. In percentage terms, the ratings between T1 and T5 fell by 81% for participant LC, 85% for ML, and 57% for NC, as you can see in this table. As I already mentioned, there's a high comorbidity rate between anxiety and depression. So I wanted to take this opportunity to also look at the impact of the 6 sessions of hypnotherapy on symptoms of low mood. This graph reveals a reduction in depression scores between T1 and T5 for all participants. All baseline scores on the PHQ-9 indicated that LC and ML met the criteria for moderately severe depression, 18 and 15 respectively, whilst NC's score of 9 placed it on the threshold of mild to moderate depression. Scores at T5 revealed a mild level of depression, threshold between mild and no depression for LC and NC, and a sub-threshold score for ML. As we've already gathered, the overall reduction in symptom severity was not as marked as in the GAD symptom reduction. ML saw an 86% reduction in symptoms, followed by LC with 72% and NC with 44%. But it is worth pointing out that the overall effect size of results was medium and statistically significant. Considering the focus was actually on reducing symptoms of GAD, I personally was delighted with this secondary outcome. I really enjoyed this opportunity of conducting a scientific study that can contribute to the evidence base for clinical hypnosis. The numbers and statistics are what we need to build trust and awareness, but the real joy for me in my work is enabling my clients to live their life to the full, free of the shackles of anxiety and poor mental health. Thank you so much for your interest in this research. I hope you found it interesting and inspiring. If you'd like to get in touch with me, the contact details can be found below. Bye for now.